Do you value yourself? One of the best movies of all time sparked a change in me. It taught me how important it is to value myself. The Pursuit of Happiness is a story about fighting for your dreams, never letting anything get in the way, and valuing yourself despite whatever life throws at you. No matter how many times we are dropped to the ground, tested by our circumstances, or put down by others, we cannot let that kill our spark, because that spark within us cannot be taken away. He didn't make his high school basketball team. He stared at the alphabetically arranged list of names. He read and reread the list several times, feeling sure his coach had mistakenly left his name out. Later on, he admitted that he was so ashamed and embarrassed that day that he wept when he got home. In his career, he lost over 300 games and missed over 29,000 shots. Believe it or not, that man is Michael Jordan. He once said, "I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." One of the most creative geniuses of the 20th century was fired from a newspaper because they told him he lacked creativity and imagination. He went bankrupt several times, was left homeless, and went hungry for days. But he believed that the secret to success was within him, in the value that he had for himself, overcoming all the obstacles that came his way. Today, we can thank Walt Disney for bringing to life Mickey Mouse. Walt Disney once said, "When you want to succeed as much as you want to breathe, that is when you will be successful." No one is born being good at things. You become good at things through hard work. Ronaldo did not become a good football player the first time he kicked a ball. Picasso did not become a famous painter the minute his paintbrush touched the canvas. You've got to practice. You've got to work hard. You've got to value yourself. And that is why Chris Gardner in The Pursuit of Happiness once said, "The future was uncertain, absolutely, and there were many hurdles, twists, and turns to come. But as long as I kept moving forward, one foot in front of the other, the voice of fear and shame and the messages from those who wanted me to believe that I wasn't good enough would be stilled." So despite all the obstacles, the circumstances, and the hardships you may face, start valuing yourself today. Education is everything. When a child gets a high-quality education, it opens up a lifetime of choice and opportunity, and everyone benefits. Students, parents, teachers, communities, and the nation. I'm so honored to have with us today a woman who is so passionate about education and empowering youth. A woman who is using technology to bring a change to the educational system in Tanzania. Today, I would like to welcome Faraja Nyalandu. Thank you so much, Faraja, for coming here. And I have to say that I read so much about you, and you're such an inspiration to so many youth, and to me also, because I feel like you are following your passion and you're doing something that you love. So I just like to say that basically I also talk a lot about how important it is to find your passion, and that passion to make a difference in the lives of others. Because, you know, again, if your vision is just about you and yourself and it's a selfish motive, you're not going to get too far in life. And you'll see all the great leaders, whatever they're doing, their passion is beyond them, you know. So, you know, just like Martin Luther King, for example, he, you know, his vision was to create a movement to help, to help, like, create justice in the world. You know, all these great figures, whoever you read, you'll see that they are the ones who, again, their scope is beyond just their selfish needs. Let's start with that. How did you find your passion?
Great, thank you for having me, and it's a great honor, and I feel like it's very good to have such platforms and share stories, but also pick inspirations from each other. So
Yes.
I'm equally inspired.
Thank you.
And yes, my passion, I think you're so spot on when you speak about passion, because everything that we're doing, it has to be channeled from something within. And it's so important to be able to find where can you actually pick your energy, where can you pick your determination, your hard work, your resilience. And unless you find something that can be fueling that every day, it's actually very hard to be applying yourself and perform at your utmost best. And I went to school, I studied law, and most people usually ask me, why did you study law? And everything that you're doing now is so different from the legal profession. And the answer is very simple. It's the knowledge that I got that really helped me to be able to channel my passion, to be able to channel my aspirations and my dreams. And it doesn't really matter what I have studied in university, because at the end of the day, that's just a tool to enable me to be a better person and to be able to perform better and excel in whatever field that I would like to be doing. And so finding that passion is something that most people really question themselves, like, how do I know what I really, really want to do? And how do I know that the thing that I've chosen to do is what I'm really good at? And perhaps is it something that I can actually excel and reach and impact more lives? And it starts with knowing how you spend your time. Understanding, first of all, how do you like to best spend your time? So trying to understand the kind of person you are. Are you a creative person? Are you a very intuitive person? Starting to analyze yourself. And I think if you start to, perhaps people call it soul searching, but if you start understanding your own sphere of thoughts, your own sphere of decision making, things that tick you, things that make you happy, you'll start understanding things that can actually drive your work life. And coming from that, then you can start to also realize what kind of engagement do you really enjoy with people? Do you really thrive off constant engagement? Do you really thrive working in your own personal space? And then you start realizing, okay, perhaps my work needs to be more people related and perhaps not behind closed doors kind of space. So you start really figuring out things that can actually make you go to work and make you enjoy your work. And then you start realizing as well, I think perhaps it comes with age, growing up, what do you actually want to see in the world? What do you want to see in people? And whatever that you want to see, how do you want to be part of that? How do you want to push that and make that happen? So I think it's actually a journey, and you don't get to that point in a day. And I think finding a passion should be something that should be conscious about it, but you should be taking little steps to actually get into that. I'm also on that journey. I find myself every day. I find things that I would like to do, things I would like to see in the world, and things that I think I can place myself in and achieve a greater impact. So it's a journey for everyone.
And I think you're so right when you said that you studied law, but then it's a stepping stone. A lot of people that I've met, they're like, oh, I've studied this, but now I feel like, I have to use what I studied in school and be in that field alone. But not knowing that you can use the tools and techniques you've learned and do something completely different, and it's okay. And I think that a lot of people have that fear here, that I've studied, for example, like I studied finance, but when I came back, I realized that the company, METL, did not have a marketing department at all. And so I said to myself, okay, I can do finance and be just another somebody who's doing finance, and do that. Or I could create a marketing department, which is much needed, So, yeah, I think you're so right when you say things that, it doesn't matter what you study as long as you use those tools and techniques and you find your passion. Yeah.
Yes.
I wanna talk a little bit about your your business Shule Direct, and again how it's impacting the lives of so many Tanzanians and the education system in Tanzania. Can you just elaborate a little bit about what you do and how it's making a difference?
Right. So yes, Shule Direct is it's a passion, and it's a passion because it's something that I felt that it can have an impact, and after a short period of time, we're able to see that impact. So it's something that, as I was saying earlier, being able to channel that passion. I'm glad that it's actually enabling me to be able to channel my passion and go to work and find it easy because it's so fulfilling. But the way it started, I was a student in the UK and I was a young mother. I had my 2 children while I was there, and I couldn't really be a typical student, somebody who would go to the lectures and to the seminars and just be a typical student interacting and engaging with other students. So I would just attend lectures and seminars and just rush back home to be with my 2 children who I was nursing, and I had to be with them almost the entire time apart from my school hours. And so I had to really start learning to rely on online resources, something which I hadn't really known before. When I was in Tanzania, I was mainly just studying through the typical traditional means. And I was there, and the first time that I actually got informed of online resources that are available, it was in my first year, and the librarian used to see me walking in with a number of books, returning, or walking out with a number of books just being borrowed. And I was very, very committed to my studies. But it was also very challenging, being a young mother, being a wife. And so I just had to do what was best at that time, which was going to the library and borrowing these books. And until this one day, the librarian just told me, I see you walking in and out of books, but today I decided to pay attention, and I've realized that half of those books, you can actually get them online, and you don't have to borrow all of those books. And you can actually get articles and journals and so much more online. So I just went back home, and I'm like, okay, so let me see. So she helped me with the orientation on how to register for online platforms, and I started studying online. And ever since, I think I just became an online junkie. I just loved my online life, online shopping, online everything. And so it became a lifestyle. I came back, I had finished my university degree. And the year that I came back, I think Tanzania had the worst Form 4 results in the national examinations. And I think over 92% of students had failed.
Oh my gosh.
And to me, that was so shocking. I knew that the education situation was very bad, but I didn't know it was that bad, and that was very bad. What really happens to over 500,000 students who had failed? What really happens? We know that unless the way the education system is structured, the way our employment is structured, if you fail your O levels, if you fail your Form 4, it's really hard to actually make a fresh start in your life and be able to do something useful with your life. We've all seen how challenging it is, and we all know from there, picking yourself up and finding a direction which is actually productive is really, really difficult. And all of a sudden it hit me that those people are paying a price for something which is not really their fault. The education system is failing them.
Exactly.
It's failing them, and they're actually paying the price. And the year before that, some people paid the price. The year before that, some people paid the price. And you almost think like, okay, nobody has to keep on paying this price. We all have to do something, and it's not really entirely the responsibility of the government. We all have a part to play. We all have to get involved. Education, at the end of the day, is not really about the welfare of the government. Who is the government? We are the government. It's us. And so when we think of the ripple effect of having an educated person in a nation, you don't think of that person, you think of his family or her family, you think of the community, you think of the entire society, you think of the nation, you think of the continent and the world. And you also think of the ripple effect of an educated person, of a person who has education. It's equally the same. You think of how beneficial it's going to be to that person's welfare, to their family, to their community, and to the society. And so, even though I had studied law, I came back. The aim was to practice law, but I was like, okay, let me just perhaps find a place where I could volunteer and assist in how best we can really address the education challenges in Tanzania. And I remember I spoke to a number of people who are experts in the education sector who have done like a lot of great work. Hopefully that I could add something of value to that work. And I wasn't really sure what I was going to do actually, but I just knew that something has to be done. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to do whatever that has to be done. But I really wanted to find ways that we can incorporate technology into anything that was supposed to be addressed. So trying to find ways, because I thought technology can actually make things go faster. It can also enable things to happen in a bigger way. So then I recalled my experiences in the UK and how online resources enabled me to do so much at the same time, to multitask and come out of it with flying colors. And I felt if we can give the same opportunity to a young girl, just as I was a young mother, it could actually have the same effect. And if we can give it to so many more people, to young boys and girls, we'll actually be able to at least give them a chance to have quality education. In some cases, it's an alternative. In some cases, it's a supplementary. So digital learning platforms can actually come in and enable them to access qualified learning content. And that is where we started. So the start was very shaky, as with any startup, but we were able to start. We created our first platform, a web platform, hosted at www.shuledirect.co.tz, and we have over 300,000 students studying on it right now. And the idea is that you can study anytime and anywhere and access qualified learning resources. Right. But all of the content that sits there is coming from the national syllabus. So everything is actually local content. Right. So it's very relevant.
So it's tailored towards this.
Exactly. So it's meeting their learning gaps that they have in schools, that they have in the system. And you can imagine the cost of textbooks versus the cost of being able to get online. There's some costs, yes, but it's relatively cheaper if you compare. And so digital platforms really, I think it has to apply in so many areas of our lives. We see it applying in entertainment, in sports. And why not in education, a place where we really, really need to be addressing the challenges. And so I'm grateful that over the past 3 years, I've been around for 3 years, we've seen a great response. And I feel that when we were starting, we were told Tanzanians are not ready for this. People will not pick it up. People will not get online and study. But people did get online and study. And people are doing well because of these alternative learning resources. And people are getting good grades. People are getting knowledge. And so you see little steps of outcomes that show that in some cases, we just have to think differently and come up with a solution that can actually solve the challenges.
You're so spot on when you started and you said that it's our duty. We cannot only say, okay, government, right? We are citizens, and we have to also, I think the government has so many challenges in so many different fields. As citizens, we have to do our part to help others, But I think a lot of people don't want, like I said earlier, they don't want to see a vision beyond themselves and their selfish needs, So I'll tell you a short story. When I went to the Young Scientists Award, I was first of all blown away. Okay, these children are so talented. They're so presentable, and they came up with some of the most amazing things. Like this kid had a drone. Okay, he made a drone on his own, and I asked him, okay, how much does this drone cost? Like, how much did you spend on it? And he said 60,000 shillings. And basically, it was a drone for security reasons. They had made it, So they had come up with like innovative things, like there was one kid that had come up with a way to make it easier for people to get water from the well, so they don't have to actually do a lot of the heavy lifting. They can just pull it through somehow. And then there was one child who had actually, very similar to you, had talked about this online platform. So I was asking them, okay, so where did you get the idea? And they said they were talking about you and how you had inspired them, And I think it's so fantastic because people will always tell you, that you're the first person to do it. I don't think it's gonna work out. Somebody might have thought about it, if it was gonna happen, it would have happened years ago. But to take the first step it's so challenging, but it's so amazing as well, because you are creating a ripple effect for others, And I think more and more people are being inspired,
because education is the fundamental thing to anything.
Yeah.
And if a child is not getting that education, then their life is over, you know, and they cannot be what they want to be. So I think that it's amazing that you are able to inspire so many youth as well to start thinking about innovative ways to, you know, to make the education system better. But my next question is, so basically just to understand the structure, you need iPads and computers, right? In these areas.
Yes, so that was our first platform.
Okay.
We did the website, and the response is very good.
Okay.
But then we realized something. So we really focus on data and research in our work. And one of the things that we picked up very quickly was that 80% of our users were accessing the website through a browser called Opera Mini, which is a browser for feature phones.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And we were like, okay, so these people don't actually have smartphones. So you can imagine a person reading notes. They're very simple.
Like a Nokia.
Like a Nokia Touchy, yes.
Yeah.
So you can imagine a person actually accessing a website on a Nokia Touchy.
Yeah.
It's actually not user-friendly for a website. And so, then the interesting thing is actually that data responded with the national data that said, I think it's about only at that time it was about 16% of people having smartphones in Tanzania. So clearly, with our users that we were seeing, the numbers that are coming in and the devices that we're using was clearly in response to what the national data was providing. And so we really thought that to be able to really reach, to be able to really meet their learning demands, we really have to think of another platform that can enable them to access our content, but in a device that is already available in their household, something that they're already using, which is a Nokia or any other phone, a feature phone. And so we created an SMS platform, which is providing learning and revision resources. So it's revision quizzes and learning notes. So we provide quizzes over the 9 subjects that are based on the national syllabus, but we also provide tips and lessons, and you're also able to ask a teacher on the SMS platform. So it's very simple. You just send the word Makini to 15397, and then you start interacting with the system. So you get quizzes. A quiz has 5 questions, and you get a response, whether you get the quiz correct or incorrect, and then you can keep on doing as many as you want. So you just pay per day. It's also very cheap. It's about 100 shillings a day, and you get unlimited quizzes. And then there's a weekly amount, and you still get unlimited quizzes, and you're able to ask Teacher Kidevu, our famous genius teacher, on any question within the subjects that you want to ask him. And so it's something that we developed after seeing the difficulties within the community in accessing the website because of the lack of smartphones. So now we have a product which can access on a laptop or a tablet, but we have a product which can also access on just a normal feature phone. And then you had to develop another product, which is a learning management system. It's an offline platform, which has the website as you know it, but it's more. It has a teacher's dashboard, a student's dashboard, and an admin dashboard. But that is mainly for schools, because most schools having computer laboratories do not have content, and most of them do not have internet connectivity. So we thought of creating this system where it's a software where you can just install it in the computer lab, and they can access the content offline without worrying about connectivity. And they can also create their own content through the teacher's dashboard and the student's dashboard, and be able to communicate locally within a school. So you can see most of our products are actually responding to the users' feedback. We try to build products which are actually responding to what the users are telling us. If we see a difficulty in accessing one of our products, but it can be met by creating another platform or creating another layer of it, we'll do that so that we can at least help them to be able to access the content better.
And it's interesting because it's just like marketing, you know, you find the challenge, and then you find a way, a need to sort of, you know, help out and fix this challenge. And I read somewhere that basically a lot of the teachers are also getting a lot of help from this technology and this resource that you're providing, right?
Yes, so actually it's so interesting because when we started out, we didn't really think of teachers. Teachers were, like, it's such a shame because they were so far, like they weren't.
You were just targeting students.
Yes, we just think of the students, and then it was such a shock to me. I think after like 6 months, the first people who were giving us feedback were actually teachers.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, thank you so much, you can now have the syllabus. Oh, thank you so much, we can now have notes. Oh, I've been trying to prepare a lesson for my students.
Yeah.
And now I can just go to your site for assistance in creating the lesson. And they were like, oh, okay, so we actually have teachers. So we started thinking, okay, how can we support teachers to become better teachers? Because then we really realized that actually we've been doing this sort of, it's in the right way, but we've been missing such a very strong component of education, which is a teacher. And so let's find ways of empowering the teacher to be able to teach better and to be able to have better resources. So we're still working with teachers to be able to find the best ways, and we'll be able to create it's a layer to the site, but it's to be more focused on teachers and teachers support and teachers guides, and to enable them to be able to teach better and to be able to keep on empowering them, because I feel like in-service training for teachers is also important. In most cases, we focus on pre-service when they're in teachers training colleges, but teaching being a very versatile profession with the changing things in the world, we really have to make sure that we are still empowering them even when they're in service, when they're teaching. So fueling them with that knowledge and providing them with different resources to empower them is actually something.
Because I remember in school, like, if you have a teacher who's, sometimes it's obviously it's not their fault, but sometimes if they don't know how to interact with a student or they don't know how to deliver the message correctly, you lose interest, right? And then you just don't want to listen to class, right? But if you find, you always remember the teachers who made class interesting, who made the class be good.
And those are skills. Those are skills that a teacher acquires. Some people are natural at it, but for the majority, they have to acquire them, and so they constantly need the support. And we really want to provide that support to them.
Why I love doing these shows is also for very selfish reasons, because I get to meet really amazing women. I've really come across some wonderful women who are doing so many constructive things for the community, and for our country. And I just think that women have one thing that, like, we are able to multitask. Unlike men, I feel like that's one thing that we have, that we're able to do so many things, and we have that advantage, and we're also a more, what's the word? Like, we're more caring, I think, in terms of the people around us. So we have that ability to help others. So I think it's just, I have to say that these interviews are just so good for me, as a person, because every time I meet someone new, I learn something new. I get, it's like, that daily dose of inspiration. Inspiration.
Now I want to be sitting on the other side and doing the interviews.
No, it's really true. Like, I just get to meet these really amazing women, and I learn so much. So now talking a little bit about balancing, how do you balance as a mother, as a wife? How do you balance your time? How do you not get overwhelmed or exhausted, or how do you create this balance?
So it's interesting, because I usually say that I don't have a work-life balance, because I don't separate my work from my life. It's very interesting. My kids know what I do, and they're very young. And when somebody asks them, what does your mother do? They can actually tell you what I do, because I bring my kids to work and I take work home. So it's both. For me, I bring home my work and I take my home to work. It's because I'm the same person, right? And I feel like if you really have to know yourself, and you should be able to be the same person in any situation. So it's the same thing with my husband as well. He's also involved. He's involved in the sense that I'll keep on talking about what I do at work, right? When you go back home, like, today I had this, and today there was this. And so I don't just shut down automatically when I walk into the house. Like, when I get back home, it's not automatic for me to just, like, okay, I'm done, shut the door, this is home, like, nothing to do with work. I feel like it's almost like it's just a smooth wave that is just going to the shore and coming back and going to the shore. And it's the same wave going to the shore and coming back to the ocean. And so I don't separate them. And I feel like women are under so much pressure to kind of have this home life and have this work life. The way you are at home is the way you should be at work. If you're a compassionate person, be a compassionate person throughout the day, right? And yes, and so I get as much help as I can. Something which I hadn't really learned to do. I was so poor at delegating, and because I think I was just feeling guilty. I was feeling guilty that I cannot have as many assistants as I should. If you can afford to have more house help, just get more house help. Like, don't kill yourself. If you can have more assistance at work, get more assistance at work.
You know, Indra Nui, right? So basically, I was watching her interview, and she was talking about how, that basically can women have it all, but like, how is she able to create this balance? And she said, I delegate. She's like, and she said, I think a lot of women feel guilty about it, but don't, because she's like, this is how that women can get where they want to be, is through delegation, And I think that a lot of people sometimes look down on career women because they're like, oh, they've left their family, what are they doing? They're constantly working. But I think if you make it in a way, like you said, that at work, if you're a certain type of person, when you go home, you have the same sort of mindset, you have the same abilities, and it's very important to also have a family that sort of supports your
you cannot. I think if you want to grow, they just have to get involved. They just have to be part of your life, because that is your life. And so I feel like I also feel like my kids, having them understand what I'm doing is actually giving them a sense of purpose as well. Like, I always tell them, like, you also have to find something that you really, really like to do. And so my daughter the other day, it's so funny, she opened a nails business at home because she really loves nail polish. And she's like, no, mommy, I'm going to be a businesswoman. I'm going to open a nail salon. And so she does nail polishes at home. She forces me to have foot massages so that she can pay so I can pay her for foot massage.
No, but it's good.
But that's the thing. And then she really, really likes it. And she's so committed to it. She makes these little flyers. And I told her, like, find something that you enjoy doing, and let's all find something we enjoy doing. Let everyone have something they enjoy doing, and let's just all help each other. So I think having that understanding as a family is so important. And it's so true. We feel guilty, and I think it's that notion we've built of being a superwoman, and that you can do it all. No, you cannot do it all. I've tried to do it all at some point, and I was on the verge of collapsing. I think eventually become a sad person, and if you're a sad person, or if you're feeling depressed in any way, there's no way you can be productive as you should be. And so yes, there's no such thing as a superwoman, and you should definitely get help. I think it's also, again, a journey. Like, I reach a point, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to get as much, if it's possible to get help, I will get help. Sometimes it's impossible. Sometimes you have to kill yourself at work and push yourself to the limit, because maybe it's something that it's entirely up to you to do it. But in cases where it's possible, I feel like there is nothing like a superwoman. There's just a woman, and there is just you with your name, and just make sure that you're living according to what you can do, your abilities, your aspirations, and your name. There's nothing like what somebody else is doing. Pick inspiration, but stick to what you feel inside, what is driving you, and your capabilities and your abilities and your dreams. If you can go to the last finishing line, go for it. But I think along the way, you need somebody to be giving you water.
You need that support
to make you keep on running, and just getting that energy.
And one thing is that I've noticed is that when you have a strong support system at home, like, I believe that I started my whole Educate, Empower, and Inspire, the whole thing, about 1.5 years ago. And I owe it all to my husband, and the fact that he pushed me, because I remember I was at that point where I was like, I'm really passionate about empowering women, but, I'm to be.
Yeah. I think it's, what you said is so important, because I feel like as a woman, however much liberated you can get, at the end of the day, you feel like you need to have some kind of validation from your husband. And I think that is why perhaps when a husband or a man abuses his woman or his wife, it's really detrimental to the woman. And so I'm so fortunate that my husband really supported me when I was starting out. He's still very supportive. And I think the first thing that is so important is, I think, giving you the space to make mistakes. I always tell people it's not really the space to excel, because I think the first time when somebody is giving you an opportunity to, or when somebody is like, okay, go ahead and do it, they know you'll actually make mistakes, and they're actually letting you make those mistakes.
Yeah.
And I think that is very respectful. It's actually something that is, because I think they believe that you can make mistakes and you'll still be okay. And they actually believe that they're letting you making the mistakes, and they'll be there watching you make the mistakes, right? And they'll be there telling you that
it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And they won't even tell you that it's a mistake.
Yeah.
And so having that support, having that assurance that you will make your mistakes, but you'll still come back home to somebody smiling, is actually very, very refreshing. And I think it also gives you that dedication, because like somebody actually is watching me. Somebody is, it's kind of like having a support system, but also like, I don't know, it's like a criticism system, like somebody who will actually tell you something that is valuable to make you be a better person, and you know that it's coming from a good place. And I think it's so important. I think women are so good at giving that to their husbands, but increasingly we see that men also want to do that to their wives. It's just that perhaps they're not given that opportunity in so many cases, maybe when a woman is not being proactive in what she can do. And I always tell women, I'm sure there's something you can do that is beyond you. I mean, like, I don't know, cook mandazi, take them to a place where you think that they don't have food. You can apply yourself in so many ways, volunteer, teach a class, do something. But you'll find that I think most husbands want so much more for their wives, and sometimes women are the first people who limit themselves, and it's not really about the other person, it's really about them. And I think a good husband would want to see their wife happy, and their wife as a complete person, a full package of a human being. And because when you are that person, you're actually a happier person. And because you're a happier person,
you'll be happy at home.
Exactly. You won't be there like just bugging him, and and so eventually he'll be a happier husband, and you have a happier family, and it will be a happier home and a happier household. And so I feel like they know that, and so they really want you to, like, okay, if you want something and you really, really feel like it's positive, and they'll probably support you. I've tried some other things which I was clearly not, it wasn't going to work, and my husband probably knew, and he would still let me do it, like, okay, just give it a go and see how it goes. And then sometimes I would knew that, okay, he knows that it's actually not working, but he'll still give me the space, only because he wants me, sometimes because I'm young, he wants me to experiment, to apply myself in different ways, and to see what works for me, which I think is so important.
Yeah. I read somewhere, Sheryl Sandberg, she said marriage is 50% a business decision. No, and it's so true, because if I constantly mentor a lot of girls who come and ask me, and I always tell them that whatever you do, like you said, do something, because when you come home, you don't want to be bickering because you're bored the whole day. With marriage, I feel like it's so much intellect. You have to be so connected intellectually as well, because you come home, like, I feel like when I come home, I have such little time to spend, or not little, but I have whatever time I have to spend with my husband. We're always talking about things, sharing ideas, talking about important things. And I feel like this also goes away from the fact that people spend so much time gossiping and, just thriving on negativity. So when you're the whole day, when you're busy doing something you love, you don't have time for that. You don't have time to go home and bicker and be like, this didn't happen today and that didn't happen today, So it's absolutely right that I think that one reason why women should work is just so that also just to sort of create a happier household.
It's so true. It's very true. Like it comes down to passion, I think, like, and find ways of getting that passion out there. So perhaps in some cases maybe you just want to get involved in charity work, but do something. I think we all have a purpose, and find that purpose. Sometimes it may not be for money. Sometimes it can just be for that fulfillment that you want to see in yourself, that you want to have, but you also want to see in other people. I think finding that is so important.
Yeah. It is. So you have a daughter, right? And you know, what sort of values as a empowered woman would you want to give your daughter? And you know, you talked a little bit about how she's already starting to have these, you know, have this sort of business mindset, and she's watching you and she wants to be like you. And I feel like this is so important for mothers, you know. I'm not a mother, but I feel like when you watch your mother and you watch her in a certain spotlight and you watch her empowered and you watch her doing something she loves, I think it rubs off a lot on the child, right? So what sort of values do you want to instill in your child?
So I feel like it's very interesting, because I think any parent, we live every day, and there's some things that we really hope that we'll see in our children, and I think like we all went through that, when you feel like your parents are trying to instill things in you, even when you're so old and you're like, come on, and, and so everything that I'm doing, it's more with personal development. It's not even things that are material things, so things that are like beyond, outside. For instance, it's not items, it's not things.
It's like your sort of personality,
values,
and your values.
And so I think it's little things that you do every day as a person. Like I feel, for instance, I was just telling my friend the other day that when I give a promise to my children, I have to keep it, because I want them to grow up to know that you have to, when you give promises, you have to keep them. But also to build that expectation that when somebody gives you a promise, they have to keep it. So for them to actually have that as a value, I cannot go back on my promise. And if I have to go back, I usually have to tell them before, like, okay, tomorrow we had agreed that we'll go maybe for frozen yogurt. We can't go for frozen yogurt at 6, but I'll take you maybe the day after at 7. We'll still go, but we just can't go tomorrow. And I also have to explain, like, mommy cannot do it because perhaps mommy has a meeting, or mommy has to do this, or maybe daddy will take you. And so you kind of, we agree, and we kind of reach a consensus. But it's so important, and the thing is, those little things that even though I really want my kids to be honest people. I really want them to have integrity. I really want them to be compassionate about just about the community, and to really be able to see beyond themselves, and to be able to see their place in the world, and how they're actually affected or affecting the world. But I've realized you can't be telling them that. You can't tell a child, I want you to be an honest person. So you
have to do it through actions, and you have to do it yourself.
And I think that is when parenthood becomes very interesting. That is when it actually becomes very challenging, because then you realize, okay, that is when you know you have to be spending time with them. And then you realize, okay, I have to be conscious about it too. So it's also very mentally engaging. Like, I feel like sometimes my kids will be fighting, and I have to find ways of, like, they're fighting every day. So my other job is to be like a referee or something. They're constantly fighting, and whatever that I say at that point, anything I do, it's like make or break. So I find myself with make or break situations on a daily basis. And I think what really happens is that it starts with you, how you behave, how you are around them, and how you keep yourself, the things that you do. Because the worst thing is that they actually watch you. It's not the things you say, it's not the things you do with them. It's the things you do with them, clearly, but it's the things that, the way you carry yourself, everything about you is a lesson to them. So I think it's really hard, but the first message is how you are as a mother or as a father. And as a mother, it's very important, especially if you have a daughter. You really have to, it's little things, like previously, I think when I was young, like I would just wake up in the morning, I won't shower, I'll just be around the house, and it's the very simple things. But now it's like, okay, when I wake up in the morning, I have to make sure that I'm showered and I'm dressed, perhaps even when I'm at home, like in just my casual clothes, because I have to tell her that, okay, when you wake up, you have to brush your teeth, go to shower. But if I tell her that and I don't do it myself, like, but before I was married, I would just like wake up and stay in my pajamas the whole day.
Yeah, there are days that happens.
Exactly, but I can no longer do that because there's somebody who is watching me.
You,
and how can I tell them, no, you cannot stay in your pajamas until 11, even though it's Saturday. So I used to tell them, okay, you want to stay in your pajamas, let's go, let's shower, let's brush it, let's put on pajamas and let's make it a movies day. But we've already do the basics, and so it's the very simple things that we kind of overlook, but we have to pay attention, and it starts with you as a parent.
I think that's so beautiful the way you put it, because children do watch. I have a lot of nieces and nephews, and they're always watching, they're always observing, what are you doing, why are you allowed to do this, and I'm just like, well, first of all, I'm much older than you, but it's true. And I think that a lot of times mothers talk down to their children in terms of when they're talking to them, they're like, sort of like babying the way they talk to them. I think it's so important that when you're talking to your child, you're talking like they're also worthy and like an adult and able to listen and understand, so that they feel like they're on the same level as you in a certain way.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, totally. I feel like they have to feel that you respect them.
Yes, exactly.
So long as they feel that you respect them, they'll actually respect themselves as well, because you respect them and you're their mother and you're so much older. And you're obviously so much bigger in size as well. And you still respect them. And I think that is so important too.
Yeah. So you are such an inspiration. Who is one person that has inspired you?
Okay. I've been asked this question and I actually don't have an answer.
Oh, you don't have
It's interesting because I've been trying to.
Okay.
I don't know. I just feel like I have never been able to pinpoint one person who is actually one source of my inspiration.
Yeah.
I change every day, and I could be reading a book. I'm like, oh my god, this person is everything. Like it's everything. Like now, I tell people as well. Like now, I feel like Hillary's determination and everything that is said about her aside, I feel like that resilience, that persistence, it's so inspiring. Like, can you imagine a person having one goal, like having a goal and being able to work for it and like keeping that focus? I think that is so inspiring. So I have so many inspirations, but I think the most important thing for me is to be able to just pick different inspiration from different people. I also know that it's really hard to have a person who is like one complete package, but I'm inspired. I think I'm inspired. I'm one person who is inspired. Like today, I'll be talking the whole day about you. Like so I'm like that. I pick inspiration on a daily basis, and I think it's so much fun that way.
Yeah, it's true. Like I said, even whenever I'm meeting somebody and I'm talking to a new person, and I'm just like, oh my god, and it's like this daily dose. You know how people have it on their phones, like quotes that they read every day. This is for me. It's like every week when I have my interview, I'm like, oh wow, I feel refreshed. Because sometimes I think work, my business work, it can get so not draining, but it's exhausting, when you're working long hours. So to have that sort of, after you talk to somebody who's able to overcome certain obstacles, or who's able to, it helps so much, to listen to their story and be like, you know what, I listened to this amazing person, amazing woman, and I'm gonna pick this from her, this characteristic from her. So yeah, that's the one beauty, and that's why I love what I do.
I love it to know.
So one question that I wanted to ask you is that as such a like a determined and a woman who is doing so much, have you faced any gender roadblocks along the way?
Several. I think it's quite difficult because being a woman is one thing and being young is another thing, and so you kind of face two. It's like a double dose of a challenge. But over time, I think you kind of grow a very thick skin, and it's so important to be able to remind people that don't really focus on my gender or my age. Actually, just focus on what I'm doing. Just focus on my output. Focus on what I'm delivering. And so I think I think women, especially when a young woman, you have to apply yourself, perhaps double the effort to be able to also do away with stereotypes. And it doesn't help that I was a former beauty queen, so clearly there's a lot more stereotypes around that, and it's a challenge, but I think it's very interesting because it really helps me to push myself. It helps me to be able to I have to be so good at what I'm doing. I have to be excellent at what I'm doing. And because when I meet people, usually they already have a stereotype in their heads about me. And the first thing that I have to do is kind of prove myself so that I do away with that stereotype, to be able to now meet at this level where we can actually intellectually engage. And
but I also think that, like, you know, okay, being a beauty queen, I think that people have a very wrong idea that it's somebody who just has to look good, you know, walks around in nice clothes. You have to be such a good speaker. You have to carry yourself so well. There's so many things that, you know, I mean, you know, I was speaking to a few girls and they were telling me that the problem is that a lot of people have stereotypes of certain what do you call professions, you know. They're like, oh, but you're just a photographer, but you're just a makeup artist, you know. Oh, this girl is just, you know. But I think that people underestimate the value of others, and that's one thing that people really need to stop doing, because it doesn't matter what field you're in, what you're doing, as long as you're, you know, you value yourself and you are making a, like, you know, an impact in one way or another, and you love what you do it, you know. There's so many you know, I feel like this is one of the biggest problems, you know, that it puts, you see, you said you have to grow a thick skin, right? And that's something also I feel like I had to do, because I come from a community that, you know, not even a community, I think that I just come from a background where women do not reach those levels, because, you know, they're not supposed to. But my dad was completely, like, his mind was completely different. Like, he was like, I don't care if you're a girl, you're gonna play golf, you're gonna work hard, you're gonna go to the best school, you know. And I'm so fortunate, you know, that I had that person who sort of told me, I don't care if you're a girl or a boy, this gender doesn't matter to me, you're gonna do these things. It's
excellence that matters, yes.
Yeah, but I think that a lot of girls, unfortunately, and this is to parents, that they need to put their kids on the same platform, you know.
It starts at home.
Yeah, you know, and also other people need to stop underestimating, you know, everybody has different talents. If you told me to, like, do my makeup, I have one style of makeup that I do. If somebody told me to do something else, I don't think I would ever be able to do it, you know. And there's some girls, like, there's some people, not even girls, and when they do their work, it blows my mind, you know. And I'm like, I have so much respect for what they do, you know. So
I think there's so much diversity in talents, and we really have to respect
everybody,
because I think everyone adds to this beautiful universe in a different way. And it's just a matter of acknowledging that and appreciating that. So I think it's but the best thing with that, on the positive side, is that it actually makes you
a more resilient and more
and you really have to master what you're doing. Like, you cannot be halfway about it. You really have to know what you're doing. So as a result, that is very good.
It's like, it's almost, then you just you get better. You get
better,
and so it challenges you, and it just makes you grow,
you
right?
Improve,
My last question before we play a game. You are so inspiring to youth, to so many girls out there. You know, I follow you on Instagram. I see the sort of, you know, just how much love that you have accumulated by people. And I just like for you to give a piece of advice to, you know, what piece of advice do you have for girls, and to tell them how to better value themselves, and or just what is a piece of advice you have for girls?
So I have to.
Okay.
I think the first one is that every girl has to dare to dream, because I've seen girls who kind of think, okay, some things or some lives or some success is for some people, and they don't see themselves in that situation. They don't see themselves acquiring those kind of success. And it's just not true. Every person, and especially to young girls, we all have that chance to, first of all, dream. Like, give that to yourself. Allow yourself to create dreams, to create aspirations, and to hope for those dreams.
Right.
And after that, start thinking of how you can actually get to those dreams. But before you even get to what you can do to get to those dreams, I think the first thing is to actually allowing yourself to dream, daring to dream. And I feel there's nobody who was born with, like, we're all born the same. We're all born the same. We all have the same 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, ears. And I feel like even though a person could be born in a better situation than the kind of situation you have right now as a young girl, it's so evident that you can still make something so good based on what you have, because you have you, and you can actually dream, and you can actually achieve those dreams. We have so many examples of people who had just nothing, and they made something out of themselves and out of their lives. So there's really nothing that can stop a person. It's just entirely up to you. And I think the second thing that is so important that I always talk about in different discourses is confidence. I feel like young girls and women, we're just not confident. I think confidence is so important. Confidence is important, I think, even as I always say this, as an outfit. Like when you wake up in the morning, when you get dressed, the last thing you should put on is your confidence, and then walk out the door. Like, it's so important. I think you need to believe in your abilities. You need to believe in what you can do, and you need to be confident that you can do. And you need to be confident in yourself that you're actually set out to do something and you can actually deliver. And having that confidence in yourself will actually make you want to deliver. It will make you want to reach your goals because you believe in yourself. And confidence will actually now help you in wanting to work on your dreams, wanting to work on your aspirations. And so just knowing that you can actually do something, that confidence is your daily personal boost. Like, tell yourself, I can do this. Give yourself that daily dose of confidence and make it part of your life. Do not make, I think confidence now goes into every area of your life. As a wife, as a daughter, as a mother, as a sister, as a business leader, as anything that you can be in life, just be confident. Be confident because there's a purpose within you, and it's just up to you to find that and to be able to apply it and to be able to not just, I think it's finding yourself, because if you have confidence, if you're able to tap into that purpose that you have, you're constantly finding yourself. And I don't think in a lifetime you can actually exhaust your potential. I feel like in a lifetime you will live and
keep growing.
You'll keep growing, and you'll keep finding yourself on a daily basis. And that stops only when you die. And maybe if you believe in an afterlife, then it goes on. But I feel like there's never an end to your potential, and you really have to believe in your potential. You really have to be confident about it. And
I spoke about the importance of valuing yourself. You know, I think a lot of people tend not to value themselves.
It's so true.
And you see all these, you know, I don't know if you've seen The Pursuit of Happiness, the movie.
Yes.
So it's one of like the most, like the best movies of all time for me, because the sort of value this guy had for himself despite the circumstances he was in just shows that basically, you know, that's what it takes. You know, even if you see Michael Jordan, he said, you know, he has a quote, and he said, you know, I failed over and over and over again, and which is why I've succeeded, because it's through his failure, you know, that he learned that, you know, there will be people who will tell you you're not good enough. There will be people, especially girls, you know, I think girls are very much affected. And then their value is so almost outsourced. Like what people think of them is what they believe is true, you know. And I really want to tell girls, because I think I was in that position once where people would just be like, you're not able to do this. I don't think you're gonna get anywhere. Just negativity. And people's vision is limited because they can't see what you see. You know? And I think it's so important for girls to know that you, like you said, dream, and I think you can do whatever you put your mind to, right? We have so many examples of women who have come from nothing and who have, you know, achieved so much, right? So yeah, I think that's a beautiful way to end the interview, and today I have something special because I'm with someone so special.
Thank you.
We're gonna play Taboo.
Okay.
So you know how it works, right? Whoops.
Oh, it's to the time, but it's okay.
Okay.
Okay. You use it to dig a nail in.
Hammer.
You're so good at it. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Okay. Imagine I'm facing difficulty with the description.
Oh.
How fun it is. It's a book.
Okay.
It's
Story.
no.
Book. Novel. Okay.
You play this on a daily basis. Okay. Wow. You're going for a job interview and you're not so sure. What are you feeling?
What am I feeling? Not confident. Along those lines, though?
Yeah.
Unsure.
No.
Stressed.
You're close?
Cautious.
No.
Should I do another one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do
What was it?
you want us to switch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Switch. Something that doesn't taste so good. Something that's not sweet.
Bitter.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. You know, when you go for a ride in your car and you look outside, what do you look at around you? You know, people love to go to beautiful places to see what?
Sightseeing?
Close.
Buildings?
The environment around them?
Landscape?
Close. You know, people say, oh wow, this is such a beautiful place.
View?
Very close. Very close. Like a synonym of view. Okay.
Synonym of view.
They say, oh, something in this place is so beautiful. Okay, scenery. Okay, it's okay. It's okay.
That's so easy. Okay.
Okay. Now this one I'm going to cheat a little bit. Okay. Somebody who lacks the sense of sight. Somebody who lacks the sense of sight is
who lacks?
Light.
Oh, blind.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's easy.
That was easy.
Okay.
Okay. Oh my God, this is so hard. Okay, so oh my, it's so hard to say this word without those things.
Right.
Okay, they're the most beautiful things that are not tangible, that you have with your families and with your friends. What are they? They're the most beautiful things that are not tangible, that are everlasting.
Values?
Very close.
Emotions?
No, like they're the most beautiful moments that you have with your families that you keep with you. They're in your mind, that
Feelings?
you keep in your mind. Close. Memory.
Oh.
You know what? It's hard because they put things like remember
and forget
and brain.
Computer.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay. when you make a mistake, okay. What's at the back of a pencil?
Eraser?
Yes, yes, that was cheating, but it was good. It was good.
Totally cheating at the back of a pencil.
Okay. Where do you see flowers usually?
Gardens.
Okay, but on the
Soil.
what grows?
What grows?
What grows on the soil?
Flowers.
And
No, I'm joking. Grass.
yes.
You're totally cheating. Oh my goodness.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Usually, when you go to Subway, you ask for it brown or white.
Bread.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You're making it too easy.
Okay. When you put nail polish, okay, what do they say? You put a what of nail polish?
A coat.
Yes. That was not so bad. That was not cheating too much.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody who is all forgiving, all knowing, the greatest.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
That was fun.
Yes,
That was
yes,
fun.
yes. Thank
So
you.
thank you, Faraja, for
Thank you
being
so
with
much.
us.
Great.
It was such a pleasure, and honestly, I can say you are doing such amazing things for students, you know, for a lot of our youth. I think that you're helping the community, you're helping the country, you know, and you're gonna help the world be a better place. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was
Okay.
nice being here.
Okay.